Hello, everyone, and welcome back to It's Just Banter, our sports show over here at It Factor. So, today we have a special episode. We actually have this video going on. I have a conversation that I did with my cousin Dylan Mex that's coming up for you soon. But first off, let's introduce our characters. The big news this week was OBJ. He'll be joining Cooper Cup in LA, so that'll be exciting. We're also talking about Aaron Rodgers and his vaccine saga. And Mac Jones, what are you doing, man? Let go of his ankle. What's going on here? Got the video and more for you on that. And yeah, here's my conversation about Week 10 in the NFL with Dylan Mack. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of It's Just Banter, the sports show that we're doing here over at It Factor, my media company that I'm trying to get content on. I'm joined today by my cousin Dylan Meck. Thanks for joining us today, Dylan. And we're going to talk some football. We're going to talk Week 10 this week. Dylan, you saw the news out of LA this week. What do you see? What do you think about that?
I think it's great for him. After he got cut, I figured that the Chiefs and the Rams would be a top contender. The Packers were the ones that really whiffed, though. I heard that was where he wanted to go, and they offered him the veteran.
OBJ wanted to join Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, and all they offered him was the veteran minimum. So I guess that's what set him to a different place. But I thought LA was always going to be the best spot for him. He's a big name receiver who needs a big market. I didn't think Cleveland was ever going to work out for him. And he's also in a culture where he's not going to have to be the man per se, which obviously that clearly hasn't worked with other teams. But if he goes in and just contributes on an already established program, I think that'll be best for him.
Yeah, because has he played much at all this season? I know he hasn't.
He didn't play the first handful of games, and then when he came back, that was the worst part. Is that his stats were like his game the last time he suited up for the Browns, he had one catch for 6 yards.
Right.
And you'd think almost any other team could find a way to get him the ball, and it's not like the Browns are flush with weapons either. In terms of receiver.
I saw too that it was it was just funny because I saw it on ESPN. His dad was like, "Get my son the ball more."
Yeah, and he said that he would only sign with a team that's a contender or something, or he would just I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it makes sense for this season because he hasn't really had a chance to really compete or be in the playoffs. Even last year, he didn't get to play, but that was probably a big reason why they even made the playoffs, because he wasn't there as a distraction.
Yeah, I saw Stephen A. Smith on ESPN said now that they're, quote, no excuses for the Rams, because they really do have a great team. And
I forgot, and Von Miller too.
Yeah, and Von Miller as well. I saw he's so good. I can't believe they let him go for a 5th round draft pick next year.
Yeah, or something. I guess. I mean, it's because it's his contract. I'm guessing when you sign your huge deal and he's on the back end of it, that's really what I think took away some of his value. And he's kind of past his prime, but still getting Von Miller in any way, he's still a top 5 to 10 outside linebacker in the league.
Right. Sports contracts are fascinating,
especially pairing him with Leonard Floyd and Aaron Donald.
No, yeah, that's going to be a ridiculous defense.
Yeah, that's why Odell, I think, will help too, is him being with Cooper Kupp, where Cooper Kupp's obviously going to be the focal point. If he's on pace now to break every single receiving record I think there is in football this season. He has, through 7 games, he has 1,000 yards almost, and I think 10 touchdowns. He's number 1 in every stat you could think in football this season, and he's on pace for some record-breaking numbers, like 23 touchdowns or something. It's insane, and now it's going to be even harder for teams to cover him because they're going to have to worry about Odell and Robert Woods and multiple other people now.
Yeah,
and Van Jefferson.
It was disappointing last week. I thought it was going to be a super good game against the Titans. It ended up being a little bit lopsided because
I can't believe it. Yeah, I was shocked by that. All the teams that lost someone via trade or lost Derrick Henry to injury won. With them, the Broncos beating the Cowboys somehow the way they did, and then the Browns getting a huge win over the Bengals.
Yeah, that was shocking. That actually leads into my next. Well, not my next, but anyways, thoughts on the Cowboys, because I was wondering what you think about the Cowboys this season. They're 6-2, but they just got they did not look good at all last week against the Broncos, even with Dak back. Obviously, there's a lot of media coverage on what's going on with the Cowboys.
Yeah,
looking pretty decent this season. But how do you think that they'll play out the rest of the season? Do you think that they'll end up pretty average and then lose early on in the playoffs, or Do you think that they can actually do something? I mean, they're 6-2 still. So
I still think they're closer to the team we saw the previous 5 weeks before this game. Every team's bound to have a couple downer games like that, and the Broncos was a game in between some of their bigger games too. So I think it was just I chalk that up to them kind of maybe overlooking the Broncos. But the problem is their defense outside of Mike. If they didn't draft Micah Parsons, I don't know what would become of their defense because they have him and Randy Gregory, and then outside of that, it's just a bunch of I don't know, just kind of like average play. They have Trayvon Diggs, who has a lot of interceptions, but he also gives up a lot of the big plays too. So you see the 7 interceptions and think like, oh, he's a defensive player of the year candidate. But then he could also have like 3 plays where you see a guy get a huge touchdown and you see that that's the guy that he was covering. So I think their defense is going to be what is their undoing in the long run because they obviously have the offense. CeeDee Lamb and especially Amari Cooper. I think Amari Cooper had 60 or so targets this year and he hasn't dropped one. Like he's caught every single ball that's been thrown his way, no matter if it's Cooper Rush or Dak Prescott. So I think that their offense should, as long as they stay healthy, should be one of the best, if not maybe the best in the NFL, consistent wise. But it's just a matter if their defense is going to hold up long enough.
Right. And then when you think about teams like the Rams, when they have both the offense and the defense, like they're pretty stable on both ends. It's
the only thing the Cowboys have in their favor for the playoffs is their home field advantage isn't a huge home field advantage for them. So I almost think it's better for the Cowboys team to be on the road. Then it's less pressure on them. And the way their stadium's set up, they're not really built to have a great home field advantage in the playoffs or any game really.
Why do you think
they'd be the way that it's built? That's the stadium's so huge that it actually they don't get the crowd noise doesn't hit the field the same way it does in other stadiums. It's been a huge issue for a while. I don't even know if there's really anything you can change it. But then there's stadiums like old ones, like the Eagles, for example, and the Seahawks. The way that they build the top part of the roof, how it's kind of just a little bit out, but it's not like a complete dome. They do that to funnel noise intentionally onto the field. And the Cowboys Stadium is such a mecca. It's such like a huge place that they just missed the mark on getting noise on the field. I think Jerry was so obsessed with getting a huge, like, modern arena that wasn't even a factor until now. Which now
that's really interesting. I know soccer stadiums are shaped to be like a little bit in the
it's like that. That's why Qualcomm and like some of those other stadiums did that. But that's why it's just almost too big and too wide. Like it's such a huge facility that it could handle all the noise and not necessarily just push it all in the field. So I've heard players can communicate a lot easier in Dallas than you can in other stadiums, especially in the playoffs when it gets to the point like that where crowd noise really gets in effect.
Wow, that's interesting to think about how things like stadium design could potentially affect your team in the long run because you built a stadium, you're going to be there for a while.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, thoughts on how they'll do this week against the 4-4 Falcons?
I think they're going to win, but I just saw before this, I looked at the line and they're favored by 9 where I saw, which I think is a little rich. I don't think I would take that if I was betting for the Cowboys. I think they're going to win, but I think it's going to be pretty close. I can't say, even though I do think they're closer to the team they were the past month, I still can't see them getting blown up with the Broncos and then confidently say they're going to beat the Falcons by however many points, even though Calvin Ridley is out for mental health reasons. So they really don't have many weapons outside of Cordero Patterson. Their offense is in a real bad spot.
Gotcha. Cool.
So this is a good test for the Cowboys defense to get back.
Yeah, that was good Cowboy conversation. Let's move on to my next point was the Cardinals. So the Cardinals are playing somebody not that great this week, but if they win, they should be going to 9-1 and they should win. So are they the best team in the NFL right now? It's against the Panthers. I guess it's not too bad. Oh, yeah. They also just re-signed Cam Newton.
Yeah, I saw that. That is actually, I think that's a great signing. There's not really many good places for him to land, and he could come in and be the starter again in a system that he knows. So I think that'll be good. But also, it's sad. I wanted to root for Sam Darnold. I really wanted to root for Sam. I thought it was going to work. But it's still, Cam's not going to help him much this week. The Cardinals will definitely go to 9-1. I would say I still think the Bucs are going to be the team to beat when it's all said and done in the NFC. But as of right now, I don't think anyone could say that the Cardinals aren't the best team. They're 9 and we have the best record. They've beaten all the teams that they've needed to. They beat the most significant, I think, was when they went to the LA Rams and just like destroyed them. And their only loss was a good loss to the Packers too, and Aaron Rodgers. So it wasn't like they just like whiffed. So I think I think they're the best team, but also I still can't see that this is gonna be their year in the long run. They may get home field advantage, but I think the Buccaneers are the best team right now. And they're also just solid across the board. They're deep. They're deeper than any team.
I fully expect the Bucks to slaughter the Washington football team this week.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it in Washington?
I think it is in Washington, yeah.
It may be a decent game just because of the Redskins defense can keep them in it. They've kept them in it.
Favored by 9.5. So we'll see. Arizona's favored by 10.5. They're pretty likely to go to 9-1. The other game.
See how are they favored by 10.5, and then the Cowboys are favored by 9? Right. I would feel like the Cardinals there should be way more confidence in the Cardinals.
I mean, I guess it's because
the Cowboys.
The Cowboys are playing the Falcons, and the Falcons are just like
the Falcons. Yeah, the Calvin Ridley thing I wasn't thinking of when I saw the odds. That is going to change it up a little bit.
Right. Okay. Next one. So the Sunday night game this week. First of all, like I keep looking at week 10. I can't believe it's already week 10. Like it seems like.
Yeah, I know, it's weird. And then bowl season's around the corner now too.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, it's just like maybe I don't know. It just seems like it's moving fast. But anyways, the Sunday night game this week for week 10 is Chiefs versus Raiders. That should be decent. Mahomes has not been looking up to par this year, nor has the Chiefs in general.
Yeah.
Like the commentators are always saying, has their magic worn off and stuff like that? Is this the new normal to expect?
Yeah. I actually still think the Chiefs are going to go to the Super Bowl. I feel like this is the exact same thing that happened with the Patriots like 4 or 5 years ago when they lost to the Chiefs in like week 4 on Sunday Night Football. And they were like 1-3 or 1-4, and everyone was saying they're done. And I just thought like they're going to end up winning the Super Bowl. And I'm pretty sure they did that year. They at least went to the Super Bowl. I remember that. I still think, and the AFC is so wide open too. It's like when with the teams, like I thought Tennessee might, now Derrick Henry's out. I thought Buffalo might, but now Buffalo's looking iffy. I just think when it gets down to the playoffs, I think it's going to come down to who has the most experience. And as long as Kansas City gets in the playoffs, I think they're going to make it out of the AFC again. But they haven't looked the same. But there's been years even with Peyton Manning and the Colts when they were still healthy that they lost games in random seasons that you just thought that they shouldn't. They'd go on streaks. Not every franchise is going to be like the Patriots where they go 10 years where it's like they start off 8-0. Yeah. Sometimes, and especially teams have their number now too. Eventually teams are going to figure you out. And they're like the team in the AFC that teams are headhunting for that they want.
Yeah. Like, who was talking about it? It's like, I mean, not who, but early in the season, I was watching the Bills versus the Chiefs. And then the commentators kept being like, the Bills were like built this team to beat the Chiefs. And it's
no, literally, yeah. That's like the Chargers. I feel like are kind of the same way because the Chargers have to build, assuming they're going to be playing Patrick Mahomes twice a year for the next 10 to 15 years. So they're going that way. The Raiders were on their way this year, but there's only so much off the field turmoil if one franchise can deal with. They just had to cut Damian Arnett too, which is another first round pick that is now cut. He did some. I don't want to say exactly what it was. I thought it was a DUI or something like that where he got cut, but he got cut like a week after.
So is that another DUI? Because I saw that.
Yeah. No, that has nothing to do with Ruggs. That's what I'm saying. There was another incident where he had. They lost Henry Ruggs, who was a first round pick. Then their first round pick from the previous year, Damian Arnett, the Cowboys or the Ohio State cornerback, is now off their team. So they've had to lose like multiple first round picks. Their coach. It's just there's only so much that a team can endure, and it sucks because Derek Carr's been there for so long, and he finally looked like this was his year that they were going to get over the hump and beat the Chiefs like for the division.
I agree. I thought the Raiders were looking good coming into the season,
and they did a bunch of weird things. Like they completely destroyed their offensive line. Like they built a good team around it, but then they like traded their center, who was one of the best centers in the league, to the Cardinals. They traded that guy back to the Patriots, who they signed from the Patriots, a left tackle. The only guy they kept was a guy they drafted named Colton Miller, but it's all a bunch of just like new thrown together pieces outside of their left tackle. So their offensive line's very shaky. And now their defense, they've lost plenty of people. He has no weapons now. Henry Ruggs is probably his best weapon outside of Waller.
Mm-hmm.
They have a good run game though with their 2 running backs, but I can't imagine being that franchise.
Yeah, and then just as you said, the injuries. When the injuries start to pile up, and it's like things aren't going your way off the
Yeah,
field, it's just like any bit of momentum is just like, oh, like how are we going to keep this up? And then
right.
that's not
I had
the
a feeling when a
headspace
team
that
went
you want
to
to be in.
Vegas, something like this was going to end up happening with like there being so many like teenagers going from having no money to now being millionaires in Las Vegas, getting to do whatever they want. I had a feeling there was going to be some trouble to come from that. Not there's plenty of other cities you can get in trouble in, but
Mm,
Vegas is a special
yeah.
one.
Well, hey, bringing it back to last thing that I wanted to talk about, then we can kind
Yeah.
of will. But the Monday night game is Rams versus the 49ers. We've begun this by talking about OBJ, Odell Beckham Jr., going to LA to the Rams. And you said, he's like, that's a good fit for him. LA, splashy, going
Yeah, exactly.
to make an impact. I don't know if he'll be starting this week or maybe next week,
Yeah,
but
I can't imagine he'd start this week. He'll probably just be on the sidelines, but still,
right.
I think it's still going to be.
Because
I mean, they're still
that
bringing the
was just
same
announced
team.
today.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I feel like it's still going to be the same team though that they would have brought had he signed somewhere else. So they're still going to have all the weapons outside of him. Lev Woods,
Mhm.
Higby, and then
Have the like
Cup.
mental psyche, like, and we got
Yeah, and they're still going to have the boost of having Odell on the sidelines. I think they're going to get back to where they were, and I think Von Miller is probably going to play this week though, because he didn't play last week. That was a big thing too. So their defense is going to be fully intact with Ramsey, him, Leonard Floyd,
yeah,
and
they should
then
have a good
of
win
course Aaron Donald.
against the Niners. I think they're 4-5 this year, so
Yeah,
not
I
not
think it'll
that
be.
out of
Is it in LA?
I think so.
Yeah.
LA versus
Regardless, I
San
think they'll
Fran.
win. But
Oh, it's in San Fran.
oh, okay. I mean, the San Fran's offensive line is very good, but still, there's only so much you can cover when you have three of the best pass rushers on your team, and then you have Jalen Ramsey then guarding the receivers. So I think that it's going to be a big. I think it'll be a big Rams win this week on Monday night.
Yeah,
And then
no,
Jimmy G's kind of. I mean, Debo Samuel's having an amazing year, but I think this will be Jimmy G's last year in San Francisco.
why do you think that? Just because he wants to go somewhere where he can win?
No, well, they drafted Trey Lance last year. He was 20, and they gave up 3 first-round picks, two more now. So they're not going to have a first-round pick for another 3 years. They're eventually going to have to give him a shot. And I don't think Jimmy G is going to want to just sit there and kind of just be waiting to get benched. I feel like he's going to end up wanting to go somewhere, maybe like a Houston or a team that could get more established. If Houston were to trade Watson and get picks, maybe they could build around a Jimmy G or something like that. I feel like there'll be different opportunities where he's not going to have to be a dead man waiting.
That's a good like projection right there, like prediction.
Yeah, that's just a
I
random.
think
Yeah, that is.
that could work.
Yeah, that or like a Detroit or something. If you because there's not a lot of quarterbacks in the. This is a pretty rough or questionable draft class for quarterbacks. So a lot of teams that have like multiple picks are probably going to look for a Jimmy G or like an established quarterback and just use their picks to build around. Because it's a really good defensive draft, just not great for quarterbacks.
Yeah. Well,
But
hey,
yeah, I think Trey Lance will be all in next year.
gotcha. Yeah, maybe the Niners can do some rebuilding a little bit.
Yeah,
But the only game that we didn't tap on was tonight's game.
yeah.
Ravens versus Dolphins. Ravens looking pretty solid at -8.5. I mean, if you want to talk about that for a little bit, we can. Otherwise, just whatever you're thinking, whatever you want to say on the show, NFL wise, week 10, your thoughts about certain teams or anything. But Ravens Dolphins tonight, I'm looking forward to it. I'm thinking that this will be a pretty confident Ravens win. How about you?
Yeah, I think so too, especially assuming Tua's not playing. So without him, and also Lamar, I think is undefeated. His record they're showing it on ESPN. He's like 3-0 in Miami since his career started. I know the year he won his MVP, his first game was in Miami where he threw 5 touchdowns. He's very comfortable in that stadium. They said he won like his high school championship there in that stadium too, something like that. So I think that all that's going to bode well for him. I think they're on a run too. They're the number one. They're the actual number one team in the AFC. They've quietly inched their way back to that. So I think it should be a pretty easy win for him.
I think that the Chiefs are gonna make it to the Super Bowl over the Packers, over the Cardinals, over the
Well, the Chiefs are in the AFC, so they could play the Packers and the Cardinals. That's why I think the Chiefs could, because they're only a competition. I think will be the Bills and the Ravens from the AFC.
yeah. Yeah, I don't see
The
Tua.
Patriots and Browns play this week. That's a big playoff implication game because both those teams look like they could be wild card teams. But I don't know if either of those teams are going to necessarily be a threat to the Chiefs yet.
I'm looking for Tua's questionable tonight. He owns
Okay.
a fracture in the middle finger, slated to back up Jacoby Brissett in Thursday night's game. Yeah. So
Yeah. Regardless, though, their offensive line's still shaky. I think the Ravens defense is going to hold them down pretty well. I think it'll be like a 28-7 game, something like that. I don't think it'll be close. Probably low scoring on the Dolphins end, which is sad because I like Brian Flores. Yeah.
Cool. Anything else that you're thinking about this NFL Week 10 that we didn't hit on today?
No, not really. The only game that we didn't really talk about was the Browns and Patriots, which probably will be the best game this week. But other than that, we've hit all the main headlines other than Aaron Rodgers.
That's going to be the best game this week, the Browns and the Patriots, in terms of
I have a feeling that's going to be a really good game. And like I said, the winner of that's going to put themselves in a driver's seat for one of the wild card spots, maybe even higher. If the Patriots win, I think they'll only be like a half game behind the Bills for the AFC East lead. Mac Jones has not quietly been the best rookie, but he's now starting to rise and become one of the top 15 quarterbacks in the NFL. And their defense, the Patriots defense has turned into the old Patriots defense. It's what they thought they were going to have when they brought in all these big pieces in free agency.
Nice. Yeah, that should be good. The Browns just beat the Bengals last week, right? And then I don't know how the Patriots fared last week, but both teams 5-4.
I don't know if they beat the wasn't the Chargers? They won in LA. They had kind of like an upset. They beat the LA, I'm pretty sure, unless that was 2 weeks ago.
I think that was 2 weeks ago. They beat the Panthers last week.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they won like 24-6 or something. So it wasn't very close because that was the game. Mac Jones. Did you see that video of? I actually haven't watched the video, but it's a huge like controversy. There's a video now when people zoomed in when he got sacked and this guy got hurt. Mac Jones literally grabbed his ankle and was twisting it, like trying to like break it. Like it's going all over. I don't know how he didn't get fined or like anything. And it was Brian Burns, I believe, said today the Panthers defensive end said happy hunting to like all the defensive ends that are going to be playing Mac Jones in the coming weeks, because now apparently everybody's coming for him because all the defensive players are like pissed. Because I mean, obviously you don't do that. That's like literally trying
and got away with it, so to say.
Literally, yeah. And so now, and just him being the Patriots quarterback too, now there's all this like media frenzy with people trying to get him like suspended and all this stuff.
Well, that's a good point. We're gonna get that video and we're gonna put it on our video.
Yeah, we got to. Yeah. Big thing. I'm glad we remembered that because I completely forgot about that video.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Other than that, I mean, so like that's like news. OBJ's news.
The Aaron Rodgers stuff was big too.
Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. I saw the clip of Pete Davidson of him on SNL. It was kind of short. I thought it was gonna be longer.
Oh, I need to see that. Yeah. Did you see him on the Pat McAfee show where Pat McAfee was like talking about the interview afterwards, because he was interviewing him, and apparently him and Aaron Rodgers and Joe Rogan have become good friends over the past few weeks. And he said during the entire interview, Pat was like, "Don't say Rogan, don't say Rogan, don't say his name." And then he said Joe Rogan, and they're all like, damn it. And right after that, everybody jumped his ass. Like ever since then, Aaron's been like getting just like roasted. And apparently CeeDee Lamb got fined more this week for having an untucked shirt during his game for the Cowboys than Aaron Rodgers got fined for not having the vaccine. Aaron Rodgers got fined $14,000 and CeeDee Lamb got fined $20,000.
Aaron Rodgers only got fined $14,000.
Yeah, and there was the Packers got fined $300,000, and then another player on the Packers, who was it? It was one of like the main ones. Who's his friend got fined too, because apparently he also didn't get it.
Yeah, it's just like when like we can't mandate everybody, but like
right.
Athlete, you've got tons of
right. And he tried. Yeah, I don't understand why. It's like the Kyrie thing too. I don't know why. Like I get not wanting to be told to put something in your body, but if you're getting paid millions of dollars to put something in your body, I think that it's more justified.
Yeah, and when it's going to be a
Especially when he's going for this is supposed to be his last dance per se with the Packers, where he's like going for the Super Bowl run and then potentially leaving after this season. So like, why would he not go all in? Now he's missing games that they would have won. They probably would have beaten the Chiefs last week because the Chiefs look really bad. If they would have Aaron Rodgers, you would think they probably could have won that game.
Wait, so he was out last week because of why?
Because he had corona, and I don't think he's going to play this week.
Yeah,
because he failed.
He have corona, and then it came out that he wasn't.
He didn't get the vaccine afterwards.
Like months ago, he said,
and then he took the test this week, and he failed it again. So he still has corona, so he might not play against the Seahawks, which I still think they'll beat the Seahawks, even if he doesn't play. But still, if he misses 2 games, that's for not getting the vaccine.
We all thought he was smart because he hosted Jeopardy.
Yeah, exactly.
Now he's
referencing Joe Rogan. Yeah.
And on his last dance with the Packers,
I don't know if I was Devon. Now they lost. They have that fiasco going on, and then they lowballed Odell Beckham and lost him too. It's just been a rough patch for the Packers.
Yeah. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. I appreciate you sticking it out. That was my conversation this week about the NFL Week 10 with Dylan Meck. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please subscribe and drop a like, leave a comment. Really appreciate you guys listening and watching. If you're listening to the podcast too, we're trying to do this new setup so we can make videos and podcasts because that's kind of cool. More from the show in the future. Thanks for watching. Bye.